Hey guys, Sapphire Yagami with a review of Teen Wolf, episode 23 of the third season titled Insatiable. In this episode, it starts off in the school shower in the shower at school. Dean removes the Nagusine fly from the twins and Isaac by sticking his fingers down their throat and removing them by hand. Dean says there are now two styles and one of them took Lydia. Melissa gives Styles a medical exam as he is resting on Scott's bed. She checks his pupil reaction with a pen light and reluctantly holds his wrist to check his pulse. She says Styles seems normal physically, but he is concerned that he's not really himself. Scott helps Styles downstairs with Noshiko Yukuma Yukimura. There we go. Yukimura is waiting. Kira rushes in and tells her mom to stop, but it's too late. Two Oni appear in the McCall's living room and quickly grab the back of Styles' neck. The demon's eyes glow firefly yellow, and they vanish as Styles falls to the ground with the ground to the ground with the kanji for self burned into his neck. Noshiko explains that it's too close to dawn now for the Oni to find the Nagusine, and they won't be active until tomorrow night. In the tunnels under the old Oak Creek internment camp, Lydia hears the screams of all the people who died there during World War II. Nagusine Styles taunts her, asking her if the voices are telling her that Styles is dying. She flees down the tunnel, seeking an exit but finding none. She defies the Nagusine, saying she won't tell him anything. He says she won't have to because she'll be screaming. Noshiko explains the board game Go to Kira. Her daughter is frustrated that they are wasting time on a game when life and death hang in the balance. And I was like, Kira, shut up and listen to your mother. She knows what she is talking about. Ah, the youth. They don't listen nowadays, I swear. So Nashiko points out that it's all just a game to the Nagusine and that she must learn to play to understand what is going on and to save her friends. Deputy Parrish tells the sheriff to go home, but he is waiting for word on Styles and won't leave. They begin to discuss why the young officer chose to come to Beacon Hills. He says he was drawn here and he knew there were openings. These openings created by Matt's deputy murder spree in episode Fury. Parrish says he's not worried about the statistics. Now, when he says he was drawn here, I have a feeling Parrish is not human, because he's saying he's drawn here. And we already know, since the Nemeton was given power, a lot of people was as Dr. Deaton said, it's going to become a beacon for supernatural things. So I have a feeling Parrish is not human. I don't know if he's a werewolf, because he don't seem like he could be one. But then again, you never know. So, or he could be something else, which would be kind of cool. So, The sheriff prepares to go home when Styles and Scott arrive. Father and son embrace. The sheriff wants to know if it's over. Scott says not yet. Derek comes to see Argent. He questions why, when the former hunter had the chance, he didn't shoot him. Argent says they're not enemies anymore. He then points out that if the Nagusine is able to pull off a stunt like having the werewolves go crazy, then he will likely be coming for them. The sheriff is trying to wrap his head around the current situation, wondering what the Nagusine would need with a banshee. Styles speculates that perhaps he needs her talent to find a dead body. The sheriff turns to Scott, saying he got the whole story from Noshiko. This triggers Styles' memory of Meredith talking on the dead phone line at Eaton House. Deputy Parrish calls Eaton House and finds out that Meredith Walker is still there but has been moved to the closed unit because she wouldn't stop screaming. At Eaton House, the orderly Bronsky opens up the high security area of the facility for the sheriff. He jokes about quieting Meredith with Hadol, but when they make it to her cell, they find she's turned the tables, injected the orderly with the drug, and escaped. Ethan and Aiden are running through the woods trying to pick up Lydia's scent. They hear a round being chambered into a gun. They take off running as bullets begin to ping off the rocks and trees around them. They both take several bullets and fall. Aiden is unconscious. Ethan quickly realizes that the bullets are laced with wolfsbane. He is pinned down but manages to get his brother. Isaac and Allison find Lydia's new Toyota Corolla abandoned in a locked parking lot. Isaac breaks the lock on the gate and they look for clues around the car. Isaac says he smells anger during the investigation. Allison questions if Isaac remembers the night they had sex. She worried that he was possessed during the encounter, but he says it was actually him and not the Nagusane fly when they were together. Addison, remembering a trick that she and Scott used to communicate in season 2, breathes onto the driver's side window of the car, revealing the words "Don't find me" in the condensation, traced by someone's finger. Coach Finstock is pissed. He is shouting to his phone in front of the class, expressing his dismay that the bill for his recent hospital visit, the one to remove an arrow from his stomach, will cost $10,000. What the whoa, $10,000? Ain't for an arrow really? That what the heck did they use that was so costly? That the removal arrow that needed $10,000 for. That's why I want to know what the hell. No wonder people that really don't go to the hospital unless you really need to, unless you is dying on your deathbed and you don't need to go to the hospital. You better go to Walmart and get you some gauze and some alcohol and peroxide and do that at home. He turns to the class, ready to launch into an indictment of the entire U.S. healthcare system when Danny points out that they have a visitor in class. Meredith is sitting in the back row. Styles is falling asleep on the McCall's living room sofa. He awakens with a start, panic. Scott is there to reassure him, saying he won't let him out of his sight. Scott says the sheriff is questioning everyone at Eaton House about Meredith and everyone else is out looking for Lydia. Styles is freezing. He puts on his jacket, explaining that he just can't seem to get warm. When Scott touches Styles' hand, his werewolf pain absorption ability kicks in automatically. Styles says it's not really pain, more like a dull ache all over, but he is lying. Kira calls Scott and explains that Meredith is at school. Coach questions her, asking from which insane asylum she escaped. When Danny points out that insane asylum isn't the proper term, Coach asks which nut house, and Meredith answers Eaton House. When she speaks, the students who gathered around to watch all take a step back. They're like, oh snap, Eaton House. Oh no. That's how they were like, ooh. Like she just showed them kryptonite, like, oh no. Coach asks why she is so far from where she's supposed to be. She says she's trying to help. She further explains that she is hearing screams. Coach asks why they scream, and Meredith explains that they scream when someone is about to die. Coach asks how many are screaming, and she says all of them. Ethan is helping Aiden as they continue to find shelter in the woods. Derek arrives, picks up Aiden, and tells Ethan to run as more bullets smash into the trees nearby. Brunsky and 2 other Eaton orderlies arrive at school. Kira begs Coach to stop them from taking Meredith because if he doesn't stop them, then really, really bad things are going to happen to Lydia, to Scott, and to Styles, and maybe everyone, including you. Coach's response is, "Who are you?" Kira explains that she's new. Like, dang, this girl been in your class for a couple of days now. You still don't know who she is? Wow. Coach sees Brunsky and is immediately uncomfortable. The orderly calls him by his last name and makes cracks about him being just a teacher. Coach is cowed by the man, assuming the posture of one who is bullied. Coach opens the door to his office to hand over Meredith, but she is already gone. Allison is dismantling the sight on her large crossbow in the weapons storage area / workshop of the Argent's apartment building. She tells her father that she is just trying to keep busy. He gives her a bar of silver and tells her it's time for her to graduate. Under Oak Creek, Lydia finds every door blocked by bars. Nagusane / Styles tries to further demoralize her by saying Scott and the rest are chasing useless leads or dealing with bigger problems. He wants her to question if they are really looking for her or just sitting around doing pointless things waiting for nightfall. He then explains that his existence is all about hunger. He says the trickster stories are all about food. The coyote, raven, fox, they're all hungry. He says he is the same, but he craves something different. He says he eats what Lydia feels, and he is insatiable. But the way he said it was just like, if you're really into the bad boy type thing, that whole scene would have been sexy for you. Just saying. Meredith has found her way to the Beacon Hills High School music room and is plucking the strings of the grand piano. She hears whispers as the note dies away. She doesn't see Brunsky enter the room behind her. She tells the invisible choir that she hears them, but she can't understand them. Brunsky interrupts her by triggering his taser and says it's time to go. But she says she needs just another second because they're trying to tell her something. Brunsky is about to attack when Coach arrives, grabbing the taser and turns it back on the orderly. He says the school has a strict no bullying policy and drives the taser to Brunsky's shoulder. Meredith leaves with Scott, Styles, and Kira while Coach shots Brunsky again. Once they're safely in Styles' Jeep, both he and Scott turn to Meredith and ask about Lydia's whereabouts. Her only reply is, "Who's Lydia?" Chris, Arjun, and Addison are handling molten silver. Chris explains that Addison can start over if she wants. He admits that he was a bit of a perfectionist. He removes the silver bullet and shows her how he wanted to make sure the seals looked just right. He says he made 6 bullets but used them all. He then points out that silver should be used at close range because, despite the legends, it's not as accurate as lead. Allison decides to make an arrowhead instead of a bullet because her weapon is the bow. She then takes a moment to say all the things she didn't get to say to her mom before she died, that she loves him and is proud of her father and of what they accomplished together. Styles, Scott, and Meredith arrive back at the McCall house to find Scott's dad waiting with Isaac. They claim they have a free period at school and came to the house to study. Agent McCall asks about Meredith and Styles claims she is his girlfriend. Meredith quickly says Styles is not my type, but says Isaac is a type. Then Isaac, Styles, and Meredith beat a hasty retreat to Scott room because Styles like, well, he can join too. I'm like, really, Styles? Do you know how that just sounded? I was like, really? She was like, you're not my type, but he is. I was like, well, that was awkward. So they head upstairs to Scott's room while Scott remains below to talk to his father. Meredith realizes that Lydia is the red-haired girl. She says Lydia told her she doesn't want to be found. Agent McCall shows him an indent in the floor and confesses to his son that during a drunken argument with his mother, he accidentally knocked Scott down the stairs. He lost consciousness for 20 seconds and came to with no memory of the incident. It was the last time his father took a drink and he left the family the next day. Scott seems angry at his father after learning the truth. He points to all the other places in the living room where he's been hurt in Exodus over the years and says that he's healed and he doesn't need his father's apology. He leaves with him saying, "See you at graduation or whenever you decide to show up again." And then for some people who probably don't get what the whole scenario is about, is the fact that Scott's pointing out, all the things, Daddy missed while he was growing up, and that, yeah, you knocked me down the stairs, but that doesn't hurt me as much as you being gone for pretty much a majority of my life. Like, I'm a teenager now, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm going to be, what grade is Scott in anyway? Now that I think about it, what grade is fool in? I don't know, but the point is he's in high school now. He ain't going to be there alone. Then all of a sudden, he's going to be in college, and he's going to get married, he's going to have kids of his own, and you're kind of like, you're going to miss all that. So, Derek takes the twins to a coyote den to hide. He wants to know who might be after the twins. Aiden says they pissed off everyone, and it was only a matter of time until they caught up with them. Derek leaves to get help. Isaac wants to scare Meredith to get her help. Styles says no, realizing that Meredith may also be a banshee. Styles and Isaac try to get her to listen to the voices. Instead, she hears a phone ringing. Styles hands her his phone. She listens for a second, then says, "Coupe de fondre." My Japanese is terrible, and my French. Scott instantly recognizes the phrase from Noshiko's story in The Fox and the Wolf and knows where to find Lydia. At the Yukimura's home, Kira is looking for her mother, but her father says he doesn't know where she is, but does know that Noshiko is trying to keep her daughter out of the fight as long as possible. He acknowledges that the life of a Kisune is going to be very difficult because Kira has a lot to learn in a very short time. She scoffs and says, like board games. Oh my god, it's like, I want to slap Kira so mad just because of her disrespectfulness. We get it. I mean, I understand that, she's trying to help a friend, but the reason your parents teach you certain things for a reason. So if she would just shut up her mouth and pay attention, then she would understand the importance of learning the game of Go. It's just like when, like in medieval times and even today, in war times you use chess to, kind of, come up with your strategy. So this is the same thing. It's just called Go. It's the same thing. If she would just shut up and listen, then maybe she would learn something. It's just like you just want to go through that TV and just choke her, like, shut up and listen. So he explains that Go is called Baduk by Duke in Korea, and there are different styles of play. He lists them as aggressive, passive, and orthodox. He says he knows Kira are the black pieces on the board because the novice always goes first. He says the white pieces are laid out in the style of her mother, aggressive. Kira says Noshiko put the stones down to represent the Nagusine. Her father seems concerned, realizing that the two styles are identical. Allison finishes her arrow but says something is missing. Her phone rings and Scott tells her they know where Lydia is being held. Nashika and 5 Oni break through the gates of the Oak Creek. Derek and Argent bring the twins to the loft. They are still bleeding black goo from the wolfsbane bullets. Derek shows the former hunter a shotgun shell he found at the scene of the shooting. Chris asks if they belong to the Spanish-speaking woman who tortured Derek and then visited Argent in jail. Derek says they don't look like hers. Chris notices the marks around the metal rim and primer and seems to recognize them. He is incredulous and says it's not possible. Allison calls and explains that they found Lydia. He begs her to wait, but she says it's already night and there's no time. Scott, Styles, and Isaac make their way to Oak Creek. Only Isaac is willing to state the obvious. He says Styles looks like he's dying, all pale, thin, and getting worse. They speculate that the Nagusane / Styles is getting better and wondering if killing it will also kill the real Styles. Styles said he doesn't care. He just doesn't want anyone else to die because of him. He says he remembers everything the Nagusane did while it possessed his body. Scott says it's okay because it wasn't him, but Styles still remembers it. He makes them promise they won't let anyone else get hurt because of him. Lydia is taunting the Nagusane, saying he looks nervous because he knows that they, meaning the Oni, are coming in and going to kill him. He says that's why he's keeping her so close. Allison, Kira, Scott, Isaac, and Styles arrive at Oak Creek. Scott explains that they've been in the same situation before when they saved Maya Tate, who was a total stranger, and now they are here to save Lydia. Isaac tries to break the tension with a joke saying he's just there because he didn't feel like doing homework. Kira's mom, flanked by 2 Oni, tells her to go home. Kira says when she looked at the game, she realized she was actually playing her mother, suggesting that the Nagusane is in some way part of Noshiko. Styles and Scott run down the concrete corridors beneath the camp. Scott can smell Lydia. Allison draws on one of the Oni and demands that Noshiko call him off. The older woman mocks him, saying, "You think you can take him alive? You think you can save him?" She says that she tried that 70 years ago and that your friend is gone. Kira counters that her mother just doesn't want to admit that if Styles doesn't have to die, then maybe Rise didn't have to die in 1943. Noshiko says she's no longer the fox. She says Kira is the fox, but that Nagusane is still my demon to bury. The Oni disappear. Nagusane / Styles take Lydia through the bars into a massive concrete cylinder. Lydia again taunts him, saying that the Oni are going to kill him. He says good. He then takes out Noshiko's dagger and says that he brought Lydia with him so that when he would know when the Oni were close enough to kill him. 5 Oni appear in the cylinder. Styles breaks the dagger above ground. Noshiko looks startled. She opens her hand to find a firefly there. It quickly disappears in a puff of black smoke. Styles appears with the Oni. He says the firefly signals a change in ownership and the Oni belong to him. Kiro fights the Oni with a katana, Isaac with his claws, and Arison fires arrow after arrow. Styles and Scott reach Lydia. She keeps repeating no, 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 no. She is amazed and asks if they got her message telling them not to come. She's frantic to know who else is with them. Isaac calls Nashiko, asking how to stop the Oni. She says they cannot be stopped. When Isaac turns back, one of the demons slices across his chest. Scott, Lydia, and Styles race to the surface, but Styles is weakened and falls behind. Lydia remains at his side as Scott continues running. 2 Oni are slicing at Isaac. Allison draws her bow, and just before what would have been the death blow for Isaac, fires at the Oni. The arrow sticks in the demon's chest, and a firefly light begins to shine around it. The ground begins to shake as the Oni disappears into a mass of black smoke. Allison smiles, but as she turns, another Oni runs her through with his sword. Lydia feels the blow and screams in the tunnels under the base. Scott rushes out and catches Allison as she falls. The Oni disappear. Kira rushes to her mother's side. Allison is concerned about Lydia. Scott says he found her and she's okay. He grabs her hand but cannot take her pain. Allison says that because it doesn't hurt. Allison says it's perfect because she's in the arms of her first love, the first person she ever loved, the person she'll always love. She says, "I love you." Just before she dies, she frantically repeats, "You have to tell my dad," over and over. The Nagusane / Styles and the Oni leave. Scott kisses her forehead. Styles is unconscious and Lydia is crying. Isaac is rocking back and forth on the ground as Chris Argent arrives to the gates of Oak Creek. So that is all for the episode of Insatiable. And we have lost the character of Allison Argent, so we will no longer be seeing Crystal Reed on Teen Wolf anymore. So comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Well, next season for Teen Wolf, because season 3 is over. And season 4, should be back this fall. So, comment, rate, subscribe. You guys have a great day. Bye.